All right, back at it. Welcome back to the welcome. God, sorry, I can't talk today. Welcome back to the Clutch Pearl podcast. We took a week off, but we're back, joined as always by Noah Carter, my trusty companion. So we took a
And of
week off,
course,
Noah.
Bobby Petrino back there.
Oh yeah, ooh pig. Some suckers reeled me right back into caring about football. That's for a different podcast, I guess. We are the Clutch Pearl podcast, college basketball all year, baby. So last time we spoke to everyone was right before feast week. We took last week off, had to spend the holidays with the family. But we left you guys hanging. We gave our picks, and Noah, how did we do?
Well, I have to say, I think we were both over 3. I think I actually ended up faring just a hair better due to my Maui finish, but yeah, I
Full
picked in
dis-
the ES.
full disclaimer: if you watch this show, do not base your personal financing for betting on our picks.
Yes, please don't, please don't. Uh, but anyways, for the ESPN invite, I picked Florida Atlantic, or I picked Butler. I didn't think Florida Atlantic was going to pull that out. They did. They really impressed me, but there wasn't a lot of competition in that one. I was pretty down on that tournament. Not going to go too much into that. I think you picked Texas A&M, right?
Yep, they fell to the likes of the FAU Owls. Fly, owl, fly. They're
And
rolling right
then,
now. We may have been wrong about them.
yeah, but I don't know. I still want to see them against a team that knocks down shots. It'll be interesting to see when they play Illinois on Tuesday, which we'll get a little bit more into. When you have Luke Goody on the other side knocking down a bunch of shots, so it'll be interesting to see how they guard that. Because in all honesty, every team they played had a lot of open threes. They just missed them. And then for the Battle of Atlantis, excuse me, we both picked Arkansas, and that didn't fare so well. They
No.
went down to Memphis pretty hard. And one note I need to say, we should never, ever again, if Villanova is in the battle for Atlantis, pick against them because they're now 9-0 and they have won all 3 tournaments they played in there. Note to self and note to all bettors out there.
There's
And then
magic in the Bahamas. They couldn't keep the magic going last night against St. Joe's.
no,
But
they didn't. And then in Maui, we both were highly against Purdue. I thought they were going down to Marquette. Grant thought they were going down to Tennessee. Neither of which happened. Both very well could have happened, uh, but didn't in that specific outcome. Uh, so Purdue won that one. I picked Marquette. He picked Tennessee, and that's where I fared a little better. Is Marquette at least made it to the final?
it's been a rough patch for Tennessee. They've had a brutal last 4 games. I
Yeah,
mean, brutal.
yeah, and that and they've still got another upcoming stretch that's pretty tough. So it'll really be interesting to see what exactly they can do. Especially, I keep saying it when Illinois comes to town because they really struggled against North Carolina, which we'll get into guarding the fast break. Illinois has the best fast break player in the country in Terrence Shannon Jr. You can't stop him in transition. Is he going to have 40? It'd be interesting to see.
So let's see. This week was the inaugural ACC-SEC challenge.
Very
I
good.
loved it. I loved it. It was great games all around. There's 3 in particular that I want to hit on tonight. Noah, we'll start on Tuesday night when we had Miami traveling to Rupp Arena, playing the Wildcats, Big Blue. Kentucky is good. They are good. They
Yeah,
pounded Miami. It wasn't even a game.
I mean, we said it last time. I think maybe it was whenever they played Kansas. Uh, we said when they get Bradshaw back, I mean that squad is going to be tough to beat. Little did we know that Reed Shepard is playing like not just the best freshman in the country, but arguably the best player in the country right now. Like he's playing that good.
I mean, if you had to vote on this moment, he would be right there behind Zach Edey in the National Player of the Year conversation. He's
Yeah,
shooting
definitely.
he's shooting 63% from 3. That's
Yeah,
insane.
he's he's approaching Malik Monk levels. And I saw a thing on Twitter the other day. Sorry. He said that, when I come to Kentucky, I don't care if I'm wiping the floor for somebody that fell on the floor. I don't care if I'm the guy giving high fives, handing out waters, or if I'm the guy scoring 20 a night. I just want to be at Kentucky. And I think it's really showing because, I mean, he's turned into a star. He was probably the least touted out of their class and has so far been the best. Of course, we haven't seen Aaron Bradshaw yet, and he's going to be a stud. But hopefully he's back soon. And I think with Bradshaw, they arguably could be the best team in the country, talent-wise.
Hit back on Reed Shepard a little bit. What I love so much about him is if you dig into his box score a little bit, it's not like he's playing 35 minutes a game. He's playing like 20 to 25 minutes. He's efficient. He's averaging right under 13, I think. Handful of steals, handful of assists every game, handful of rebounds. Like, he's just an all-around player. The dude can ball.
And that's what I think I love about Coach Cal's squad the most is the fact that nobody on his squad really is playing big minutes. Everybody's right around that 20, 25
if you look
range,
at him,
and he's going
nobody
deep.
needs to. They're loaded,
and
they're not even at full strength yet.
When you look back in history, like the best teams that Cal has had, even dating back to Memphis, it's the teams that he was able to go 10, 11 guys deep on his roster. He's not a great coach when he only has 7 or 8 guys to play. He's got to play a deep lineup, and he's done that so far, and I think it's really showing, and that's why his squad's doing so well.
I heard a comparison for Reed Shepard earlier on a different podcast. Some people were trying to compare him to Tyler Ulis and how he doesn't play many minutes. They think he needs more. What would you say to that?
I really don't agree with that. I'll be honest with you. I think Shepard is playing the perfect amount of minutes right now. Now, will that grow as the season goes on? Absolutely, and it should. But Coach Cal that's what he is so good at with freshmen, and why freshmen generally succeed on his roster and don't on a lot of other rosters. He understands that a freshman cannot come in and play 35 minutes a game right away. Like they can at the end of the year. At the beginning of the year, they're just not in good enough shape. It doesn't matter what you do to them over the summer. They're not used to playing that in high school. It's a different level of competition. It's a different speed. You have to ease those guys into it. Coach Cal is great at that. And also, he's better than Ulis. What kind of comparison is that, man?
I bet you could take a guess. I bet you could take a guess on who said that. Some CBS guys.
Norlander?
Yeah.
Oh, my. Hey, I saw a thing earlier. Some guy was just absolutely clowning on the field of 68. And I went ahead and dropped a comment promoting our podcast. I'm like, hey, we're a couple of college guys that aren't getting paid to do this. We're just here having fun, talking some basketball. Follow us a little bit. Watch our video. We're a good one.
We didn't hit much on Miami, but there's not that much to say about them. I don't think they're a bad team. Kentucky's just damn good.
Yeah, you hit it on the nose.
I'm not going to discredit Miami any for that. They went to Kentucky, first of all, and there's not much you can do there.
Yeah, I think they're still a top-tier team in the ACC. I don't think they're the best, which I'll get into here in a second. But I originally said that they were going to win the ACC, and I stand by that they still have a good opportunity to do so. But before we move on to the next game, I want to highlight something. Georgia Tech has a great coach. They're not going to be the top-tier squad in the ACC right now, but give them a couple years, and they're going to be top of the line. That coach they brought in, that new coach they brought in, he knows what to do with them kids from Atlanta. He knows how to reel in the local guys. He's already done it, and it showed. They looked really good the other day in the ACC-SEC Challenge. Clemson might be the most underrated team in the country. They should be top 15. They're a really good squad. They brought in some good transfers. to an already decent squad, and they're hungry because they got kind of hosed out of being in the NCAA tournament. But the team I most want to hit on, the vaunted Virginia D, is back. 47 points. That's it. That's all they allow against
grinder.
Texas A&M. I mean, I turned that game on right before halftime, and I was like, "What is going on? Tony Bennett is back, baby!" Like, oh my.
Hey, he's a great coach. They're a good program, but if you can stand to watch 40 minutes of that, more power to you, man. That ain't for me. I'd rather watch UNC put up 100.
I mean, it was a lot of defense and a lot of threes. They don't shoot layups. They don't shoot jump shots. They just, I mean, it might be from the logo, but by golly, they're going to fire up a three and they're going to play D. All right, next game, Grant, whenever you're ready.
Let's go to Tennessee and North Carolina. I sent out a tweet. I thought Tennessee was going to get the absolute brakes beat off of them because they got 61 put up on them in the first half. They made a valiant comeback, but we hit on it earlier. They've had a tough stretch of games, but Tennessee has some problems. And you said earlier, Terrence Shannon, good transition player. And then when you get into league play, teams like Kentucky, teams like Arkansas who can run and are athletic, Tennessee has shown they're going to have some issues with that. They cannot guard in transition. And honestly, outside of Dalton Connect, they don't have a scorer.
Yeah, I think a lot of troubles that Illinois had last year, adjusting with Connect on the roster, kind of reminds me of Matthew Meyer. Now, don't get me wrong, Connect is a much better player or scorer, I should say. Meyer was probably a little better defensively, but both situations, both players are pretty weak. They're not very good defensively. But my point is, Connect is taking a lot of shots. Vescovy especially is really having trouble kind of getting in the flow of things on offense. I mean, you saw against UNC, I mean, they ended up just taking him out. Rick Barnes took him out and didn't play him a lot in the second half.
He's a very similar type of player, not necessarily in his game, but like the way he's streaky, the way he's hot and cold. He's a very similar guy to Devo Davis at Arkansas.
Who, Vescovy?
Yep. I don't think Tennessee would not be who they are without him, but sometimes he's not their best option to be on the floor.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that, like, I don't know, he's a good guy to have in your program, but at times, like, yeah, because he's not good defensively, and when he's on, he's on. Remember Plummer from Illinois a couple years ago? Vescovy's kind of the same type of guy that, like, when he gets hot, he's hot, but when he's not, and he's going to keep firing him up. So you got to be careful about when you play him. But the big thing is he's not getting in any kind of flow offensively because he's not getting the set shots that he got last year because I can't say his name. Oliver, he's at Michigan now. Nikem Hua, I think it is. He drew a lot of defenders to the paint, which got him open on the outside. Now they're based more on Connect's dribble drive, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's a wonky fit with their roster.
It's not Rick Barnes' teams are they're really good in the half court on both sides of the ball. And part of the problem against UNC is UNC just didn't let them do it. It was a run and gun game the whole time. That's not what granted, UNC has some defensive problems of their own. They gave up 92 points still.
Yeah.
But that's not Tennessee's game. They're not going to win. They're not going to win big games if they get into a track meet like that.
Well, and here's the biggest issue, in my opinion, from watching that game. Connect doesn't guard a soul. In the half court, in the full court, never. Doesn't guard a soul. He scores 37, but he scores 37, but he might allow 40. He's guarding. It don't matter if he's guarding the worst player on the floor, best player on the floor. They're going to get a bucket.
I mean, his job at Tennessee is to get buckets right now. Like, they should be good enough defensively where you can stick Connect on a shooter, let him face guard someone the whole game, and you'll be all right.
But the issue is he's almost too slow to guard shooters. The only reason he scores so much offensively is because he's just more skilled. He's not faster, and he's athletic, but he's not like fast.
No one else is gonna understand this except me and you. But back in the high school days, playing Anna Jonesboro, Jake Parr, he is a Jake Parr.
He
Shout out
really
to Jake
is.
Parr if you by chance see this, but
he's really slow, but like he just gets it done. Yeah, that's a good comparison.
So we'll move on once more to the capper of the ACC-SEC challenge. Probably the most hyped game would have been if Arkansas would have stayed in the rankings, but Duke Blue Devils made a trip to Fayetteville, and this game was close in the second half to getting out of hand in favor of Arkansas. Duke made a little run at the end, but they couldn't make up the difference. I got a lot of thoughts on this. I know you have a few. I'll let you go first.
No, you got it. Let's hear yours first.
I'm really not impressed by Duke. I'm an Arkansas fan, so I have plenty to say about them, but I think this game was more about what Duke didn't do and what they couldn't do. And I think I said it on our first podcast. Their guards just are not very good. And Musselman being the crazy film head he is, if you watch the difference, if you get the chance, go back and watch. Look how many ball screens they put Proctor and Filipowski in. They were cooking him. L. Ellis and Khalif Battle were cooking those two off of pick and rolls. Proctor can't guard a soul. He was getting ate up.
No.
Same thing with Arizona. That's why they got beat.
The only guard they have that guards anybody is Jeremy Roach, and he doesn't guard very hard.
No. It was really similar to what happened in the Arizona game.
I think Foster got beat more on defense than even Proctor did.
Duke's got players. They couldn't match up athletically, honestly. It was the same thing that happened when they played Arizona. They got outgamed by Arizona's guards, and the same exact thing happened last night.
Well, I think there's a little more to it. And I called it when I said Arizona was going to beat Duke. And then I called it again on Twitter when I said Arkansas was going to beat Duke. Duke has a coaching problem. John Shire has now got outcoached in both of their losses majorly. Coach Muss said it after the game. He said, our plan was just to take Mitchell out of the game offensively. We were going to make him find a way to score. And he did. He was just running Brazil all over the place, keeping him away from the guy he was guarding. He was guarding Mitchell, and they just ran him away from him. And so finally, Shire took Mitchell out. But then the issue then happened with now you have Filipowski guarding guys he's normally not guarding because he's not strong enough to guard most 5 men. He's just not, especially in a game like that when you have Makai Mitchell and I can't even think of his. Who's your other 5-man?
They played Lawson last night.
Yeah, that's
Jalen Graham played a few minutes, but Lawson did a good job. He locked down, didn't lock down, but contained good enough. He contained Edey when they played Purdue as well.
Lawson and Mitchell, they really had trouble. And but the thing is, you look at the end of that game, when Duke finally applied some pressure, Arkansas could not handle it, both in the half court and the full court, either one. So I get you can't full court press an entire game in college. I get it. But when you have Mark Mitchell can't play a minute in that game because Muss just flat took him out of it. Ryan Young does nothing but foul because he's the least athletic.
I'm pretty sure
he
had 2 fouls within 5 minutes of that game starting.
Yeah.
So did Filipowski.
Yeah. And Young was not athletic enough to play in that game. Filipowski was athletic enough to play in that game. I felt like early on he got a cheap one. I'll give it to him. But the point is, you have to get up. You just have to. He had to go deep in his bench anyway because those guys got in foul trouble. Why not go deep in your bench, pressure a little bit. If you get fouled, you get fouls. Who cares? Send them to the line. Arkansas is not good from the free throw line. That's where he got out-coached. He let Muss control that game. Shire did. Why not go and do what Muss didn't want them to do, which was pressure him because he knew that Arkansas couldn't handle.
No, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. If you just look at the box score, it's not going to show it. But if you watch this whole game, the first half was kind of what you expected. It was two teams just kind of feeling each other out, trading punches. But I said it earlier, this game was very close to getting out of control for Duke.
Yeah.
Like Muss made an adjustment at halftime, and they put that pressure on at the end, like you said, and they caused like 4 or 5 turnovers in a row. They got it to 3 with like a minute left.
Yeah, and they had a chance to tie, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe it was bringing it within 1. They shot a wide open 3, down 4, and missed. I think Roach missed or somebody missed. Anyway, but, like, I don't know. To me, like, you have to be proactive in that. And to me, I'm going to get back to your Filipowski point. He was not the issue in guarding those ball screens. The issue is Shire. They didn't know, their guards didn't know, their forwards didn't know what they were doing in a ball screen. How are you that high of a ranked of a program, or just a college program in general, and not know what you're going to do when you're guarding a ball screen, a big game like that? And Shire kind of blamed. He's like, yeah, I mean, you're not going to get a better atmosphere than that. And I agree. There's over 20,000 people there. I agree with that. But you still have to know how to guard a ball screen. Like, you're either getting over it, or you're going under it, or you're switching it. There's nothing else. There's only 3 options, and that should be decided before the game starts.
There was a point in the second half where Arkansas went on a little run, and I counted at least 5 ball screens in a row. Same exact thing. It didn't matter who it was, whoever Filipowski was guarding was setting the screen every single time.
Yeah, and like I said, part of that is because, they took Mitchell out of the game because they had to, because, I mean, Muss took him out of it. So now you have Filipowski guarding guys he's not used to guarding, and now he's put in ball screens that he's not used to doing. But once again, though, you should still know. Like, to me, all of Duke's problems are talent related. It's a coaching problem. They are poorly coached.
I will say on the talent end, though, they don't have anyone. They really don't have anyone. They played the other white guy they have. I forget his name. Young, I think is his last name. He would come in for Filipowski, but they drop off so significantly when he is not on the floor.
Yeah. Well, and Young, he was not – I said this, I think, a time or two before. Young was not good at Northwestern. They just got him because they didn't land Meyer, because Illinois got Meyer, and North Carolina got Pete Nance last year. And so they were like, oh, God, now we got to go get a forward in the portal. And they go get Ryan Young. Terrible. Absolutely terrible.
So we've pointed out plenty of issues with Duke. I do have a few gripes about Arkansas. You said one earlier. The free throw shooting has got to get better. It's got to get better. You're not going to be up 14 in every big game and have that to cushion you at the end. You got to make free throws.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact stat, but they had to go like 50, 60% from the line in those last 3 minutes. If they would have made free throws, it still would have been a double-digit game.
Yeah, definitely.
And another thing, which I think will get fixed in time, and you saw when he put Devo back in the game, it quit. But Battle, Ellis, Blocker could not handle the pressure at the end.
Okay, here's the other thing for me. Muss better contain Ellis, or he's going to do the same thing to you guys that he did to Louisville last year. He's going to shoot you out of games. He takes some dumb shots, man.
Yeah, but he does. The thing is, though, when he hits them, it's awesome,
but I mean, a step back contested 3 with 20 seconds left on the shot clock. What are you doing? could have counted 10 probably last night that he took. Granted, he made a couple there at the end, but in the first half especially, I mean, if they're more patient, they were getting easy buckets on every possession they wanted to, but there were just multiple times where Ellis just took an ill-advised shot, and it's basically a turnover.
Let's hit on one positive, though. You texted me about it last night at about 10 minutes into the first half. You said you were right. Brazil is legit.
He's that guy.
He can do it all. I mean, 4 for 7 from 3 last night. He's got to be shooting close to 50% on the year from 3. He doesn't miss a whole lot. He's been rebounding the hell out of it.
I'm going to tell you something about his three-point shot, though. He shoots that thing to the rafters, and it goes in. I mean, he's got the highest arc I've ever seen.
He does not hit the rim when he makes it either. He's a pure shooter. He really is. When he has, and he's not the kind of guy who's going to create his own 3-point shot, but like a driving kick, he rarely misses. Which, and I mean, that's going to translate to the NBA. That's what they want nowadays. He's a huge 3-and-D guy.
Yeah, and there's one thing I want to say. In an interview, he said, you know, he made that comment about Missouri that's trending on Twitter. I want to provide a little context for people. They asked him what it was like. He played under Kwanzo Martin, people. Mizzou was terrible under Kwanzo Martin. He didn't play for Dennis Gates. He wasn't talking about last year. He was talking about the year before. He was not taking a shot at today's Mizzou. He was taking a shot at old-time Mizzou.
You need
to get that rant off my
read
chest.
some of the other snippets that he says. Like there's a guy who, for the Arkansas Chronicle out of Little Rock, was interviewing L. Ellis last night, and he was like, "L, how's it feel that you've already won as many games this year as you did at Louisville all last year?"
Yeah, that was the same. So he asked him, and then he was like, and then he asked Brazil. He was like, and what's it like for you? You know, you didn't play much last year. You know, you got hurt. You know, like he was like, what's it like? And he was like, well, it's a lot different now that I'm playing for a winning program because the program he was at before was not a winning program.
When he asked Ellis that, Brazil broke in and said, "Damn, Bob, chill."
Okay, so I think we've hit on that.
That pretty much wraps up the Hog Heaven segment for me, honestly.
I do want to add one thing back to Duke. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
The coaching problem they had, though, with Shire, where they really messed up, they should have hired Bobby Hurley. He's got Arizona State looking good. All right, so I guess I'm jumping to my flying Illini here.
Yeah, we got a game at Rutgers on Saturday, and then FAU on Tuesday, right?
Yeah. Pretty tough slate coming here. We got in New York, we've got Rutgers, and then we've got FAU on Saturday and Tuesday, and then they turn around and play Tennessee at Tennessee next Saturday. Be a really tough stretch. I think a lot can go right. I could very well see it going 3-0. I could also see it being 1-3. 1-2. Excuse me. I don't see them losing all three. There's no way. I mean, the RAC is tough to play, and especially when it's the first conference game of the year. But I will say Rutgers does not look good this year. So I think as long as they take care of business, Illinois should be fine in that one. FAU, the way FAU's been playing, could go either way. Honestly, it depends on if they can stop Illinois in transition, and if they can, how's Coleman Hawkins going to play against the big man from FAU? I can't think of his name. Is it Golden?
Golden, yeah, the Russian.
Yeah, he's really good. And I think he'll present a good test for Hawkins, but Hawkins will also present a really good test for him. I think that one's going to be a fun game because it's two very contrasting styles. FAU kind of likes to play it a little slow, but then they take some very quick shots in the half court. But in the full court, they like to play it slow. Illinois likes to get out, get in transition. They want to guard you hard. So that would be a good one. And then Tennessee, that game's liable to be 101 to 100. I mean, both teams are going to get out in transition and run. So that'll be interesting to see, especially if Connect is all right in his plan.
I think UNC laid down the perfect game plan for what Illinois should do against Tennessee as well.
Yeah, and I mean, they were probably going to do that anyway because Illinois is one of those teams that they kind of, especially with the squad they got this year, they don't really shy away from their game plan. They're just going to stick to it. They're going to go with it, and they're going to try to get out in transition. And if they don't, then they're going to just guard hard in the half court. It's what they have to do.
I will say early prediction. I don't see Tennessee putting up 90 on Illinois. I don't think it's going to happen again. That could go one of two ways. It could be a game in the 60s or it could be a game in the 90s, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends. Or like I don't no matter what, I see it being a close game just because it's in Knoxville. But the way Tennessee's been playing and with that precedent that UNC set for Brad Underwood, I look for Illinois to win that one too. And honestly, I've been saying it all year long. I don't think FAU can keep up with Illinois' fast pace. And as long as Shannon continues to shoot it as well as he has so far, I think all three games should be a win for the Illini, and that's all I'm really going to hit on. I don't really have much.
So we're getting towards the end. So I got to ask you, what made you clutch your pearls this week?
Oh man, I could go a lot of ways, but I got to keep going back to Shire, man. Like, there's no way to avoid it. I mean, you got to quit making excuses. Fans were tough. What do you think it's going to be like in March Madness if you see Arkansas again? Them Hog fans, I'll give you credit. I mean, they're nuts. And they're going to be there and they're going to get after you. You don't have the Cameron Crazies to play in front of you all the time. You're going to have to get used to it.
No, Bud Walton
This is the first time
was Cameron Indoor times 3 in terms of people there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. John Shire just makes me clutch my pearls, man, because I don't know. Very, very annoying. Very annoying. Always making excuses. Why not just be a better coach?
I'm gonna stay in that same game for my moment, but just the University of Arkansas as a whole. I mean, what a show they put on yesterday. First, you hire Bobby Petrino. He's coming back to the football team. He was at the game, by the way. You bring out Nolan Richardson. It's the 30-year anniversary of the Natty season when they beat Duke in the national championship. Bring him out on the floor. You had people camping out for 2 days before the game. Sold out crowd, record crowd. Put over 1,000 people more into that stadium than what it can hold. I mean, they put on a show, and it was awesome. I wish I could have been there. It sounded awesome on TV. You could barely hear the whistles. That was a like late January conference game type of environment plus some.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I'm going to give you 2 because I just remembered what my other one was going to be. Dalton Connect absolutely clutched his pearls in that game. I don't care if they lost. I mean, when they needed a big bucket, like, I'll give him credit. He can't guard a soul, but by golly, he just knocked down shots, and that's very important. You need a guy that can do that. Every good team has one of those guys. So, Dalton Connect, even though they lost, definitely clutched his pearls and clutched my pearls, almost making UNC create one of the biggest choke jobs in history.
He's single-handedly was the only reason that Tennessee made that game respectable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's about all I got for this week. I will throw in one big game on Friday. I think it's Friday, Kansas and UConn. Let me get a quick prediction on that. We won't go into it. I just want to hear who you got.
Kansas, UConn. I got Kansas. I think UConn. Yeah, don't get me wrong. You're not supposed to bet against them because they haven't lost a non-conference game, and I don't know how long or whatever. But I don't know. I think they match up well together. They're kind of the same type of builds of teams, and I think Dickinson is going to give Klingon a lot of trouble.
I think I have to agree with you there. They're ranked high, but I'm not quite sold on this UConn team as much as last year's.
I agree. I mean, they're ranked high because they won the national title and they've took care of business so far, which give them credit for that. But yeah, I mean, they've done great. And
just a reminder, don't base your betting off what we say because there's a good chance we are wrong.
Yeah, but I will say, on some wood here on my desk here, but tell you what, my picks have been hot. Not the tournament picks, but as far as when I give in-game predictions, I've been pretty good recently. Hopefully that continues. I don't bet, but if you want to follow my bet for that UConn-Kansas game, go right ahead. And that should be all here for the show, presented by Caleb Maassen Media. I'm Noah Carter, and that's Grant Tanner. And we'll talk to you guys soon.